Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is your Progress podcast. I think this is number 11. What we're going to be discussing today is our five for the futures. But before we start with our five for the futures, Nelly has a few coffee facts for us today.
Yes, indeed. Top five coffee facts, especially for Five for the Future, special edition. Number one, each year the world consumes roughly 10 billion kilos of coffee.
It's a lot of coffee.
Number two, 53% of people said the deciding factor when buying a coffee was taste. Mm. Mm. The soda industry is fueled on decaf coffee.
Oh, that's something I didn't know.
Interesting. Number four, consuming 3 cups of coffee per day reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease by 19%.
That is a large percentage. We might have to up that coffee.
I think I drink 2 cups of coffee per day, or maybe 3. So
I've cut it down to 0 right now.
And last but not least, number five, the coffee industry is expected to reach a global revenue of 585 billion by 2025. Let's start growing coffee here.
I was just about to tell you, we need to start this thing. We need to start growing
coffee.
We need to be growing some coffee beans. That's how much. Wow. Thank you, Nelly, for those coffee facts. So, if you guys don't know us as yet, I think by now everybody should know who we are. You should see our billboards out on the road. You should see us on those electronic screens as well. I am a candidate number 5, Luciano Lloyd Nicholls. And next to me, we have
Nelly Blaise. And I'm your candidate number 7, ready here to discuss the five for the future. So the first topic that we have is voter apathy, right?
Yeah, that's the first topic that we want to touch on today. On the campaign trail, something that I've noticed all the time is that people have had enough of voting and seeing no meaningful change.
Yes.
And so right now, the environment is hostile to people like myself and Nelly and the rest of Party for Progress. But we want to encourage people and tell them that it is now is the time when it is most important for you to vote. During the last campaign, I am reminded of the phrase of our number 7 candidate, the former number 7 candidate at that time, which was Michael James. And he said, evil prevails when good men do nothing. At that time, I thought it was, I saw myself in that phrase. I was like, yeah, if we don't do anything, if we don't step up to the plate and we don't act, then evil will prevail. But it is also true for our electorate. It's also true for the voting public, okay? If you don't do something, then evil prevails. And of course, things have been rough these past 4 years. We are the downtrodden. We are the destitute. But history has shown us that all it takes is for these people who feel as if they feel disenfranchised by their government. Yes. History has shown us that these people are the ones that can truly make the change. If we look at the French Revolution, if we look at the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s, change comes at the hands of those who are fed up and weary. So, St. Martin, we are in a fight for our very existence, okay? So when you go to sleep tonight, remember that evil prevails when good men do nothing.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I would like to touch upon is why our populace is, dissatisfied with the current administration.
Correct.
Or past administration, as a matter of fact. When you have poor leadership qualities, these are the prevalent things that you would see within poor leadership qualities. Number one is nepotism.
Correct.
And St. Martin, and I'll be honest and transparent because the people needs that right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to say things that you want to hear, but I'll say things that you need to hear.
Correct.
In order for you to transform and to make the right decision, because you need to make an informed decision. St. Martin functions sometimes like a mom and pop shop. When you have, a parent and they have their kids and they would like to, give them that shop in order for them to run. They might not have the qualities, they might not have the competencies,
Mhm.
but they end up being, the owners or the persons that drive that business. But we
Correct.
can't do that here on St. Martin.
Mhm.
You know why? Because St. Martin is a country. And for a country, you need people that are competent and people that can make good decisions based on the entire population and not based on their own families. So that's something that we need to stop, and we need to ensure that we enforce that nepotism can never be something that you're using in order for you to put people in positions of power.
Correct.
Number two is tribalism. When you have people that are part of a certain tribe or part of a certain ideology, and you surround yourself with those
Mhm.
kinds of people,
Very true.
in order for you to have a functioning administration with competent people, you need diverse sets of skills. You cannot have one set mentality. If you're talking about integrity, of course, those are principles that you should uphold, that everyone understand that is important. But when
Correct.
you have this sense of clientele, um, 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 relationships where a population is
Mhm.
dependent on a politician, or a population is dependent on government in order for it to succeed, then you're establishing a kind of relationship that is not conducive towards progress.
Yeah.
And number three is incompetence.
I
um
always have to joke.
I, I I I really have a lot of discussions with members, candidates from PFP, on why certain persons are eligible to pick up certain positions within
Correct.
government or in parliament. And they always tell me it's their democratic right, they can do so. But really and truly, I want to tell people who are looking at this podcast right now, whenever you're going to select someone that's going to represent you in parliament, look at their resume,
Please.
look at their qualifications.
Please.
I'm not trying to say that everyone that has a degree is
No.
capable of
No,
doing what they're
that's also
supposed to
very
do.
true, and
Yeah.
something that we should state as well.
Mhm.
Not because you went away and you studied whatever it is you studied, that doesn't make you a leader.
No.
Okay, there are other qualities that you need to have to be a leader, but it does show the public that you have what it takes to start something and see it through.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's something that I can say about having a college degree. Let you continue, Nelly.
And the last thing is short-term thinking.
Oh,
In order for you to understand who you are going to support, who you think should advocate for you in public administration, is how long are their plans? And if their plans are just, 1 year or even 6 months, or it doesn't even sound like, you need to put a lot of effort into it, then that person is not a long-term thinker.
correct.
In order for you to see progress and to see change that is going to affect the populace, and also that it's meaningful, honestly, it has to be a long-term plan. Long-term plan is one of the best ways in order for you to solve solutions.
Mhm.
So therefore, it's very important for you to assess, if someone is coming with a plan, how long will it take to implement, and what are the milestones, what are um, the key KPIs, how, why am I forgetting that? No, the key indicators. Ay, ay, ay. My brain is not working right now. But
Let me tell
anyway.
you something. That's a lack of sleep.
But
We're all
anyway,
feeling it right now.
I can't remember exactly, but the KPIs is something that I studied, and the abbreviation I can remember, but I like to always spell out the
Mhm,
abbreviations.
mhm.
But you always have milestones where you can check in to see 5-year progress, 10-year progress, and then 20-year progress. Key performance indicators.
There you
Got
go.
it.
You see?
Jeez,
He's there. He's
guys,
there.
guys,
He's there. Our
guys.
number seven candidate is still around. All right?
Guys, it's been a long day, but
It's
I
been a
got
rough
it.
one. Yeah, it's been a rough
And
one.
in order for you to assess those long-term plans, the key performance indicators are one of those methods that you can check in to see, hey, how are we going to measure those goals? How are we
Right.
going to assess, are you reaching those goals? And those are some of the things that you need to look out in your leadership. Whenever you're going to support them, you have to look out to see if they have these qualities: nepotism, tribalism, incompetence, and short-term thinking. If you see those four qualities, please make sure that you do not decide for those leaders.
I like what what you had to say on short term thinking, because last election, I stated that our leaders have had a very nearsighted or myopic view of our future. But the same is also true of those that elect those leaders into office. So, St. Martin, we need to start looking further than our noses. Okay? If we want to have, or if we want to build a future that all of us can be proud of, we have to look 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Okay, that's how you build a nation. Okay, so I liked where we were just now. You were talking about key performance indicators, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I like to think that our manifesto is something that the public can measure us by.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So while the party has its own manifesto, every candidate has something that is like a mini manifesto, right? Even though that mini manifesto is still reflected in the whole party's manifesto, and that's what we call our fight for the future. So, in continuation to our run into parliament last election, we had our fight for the futures at that time as well. But each candidate has 5 points or initiatives that they are championing. Okay. And it really helps to highlight each of our candidates' passions, and it shows the public how those passions align with our manifesto, right?
Yeah.
So another question, or should I just say, like, what was the process like for narrowing / refining your fight for the future? Well, how did that go for you?
A lot of meetings. A lot of
Yeah, because let me not cut you off,
no,
but
no.
a lot of people don't know what it took for Party for Progress to reach here. We started this process all the way December last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been campaigning for a year now. We haven't been blowing hot smoke in your face. We put our heads down to the desk and we got to work. So let you finish now.
So the preparation was a lot of meetings, and when I talk about meetings, I'm talking about our kind of the team. They did a tremendous job from where I started to where I am right now. It's a complete
Nelly has skyrocketed.
development, a
Saturn
complete
5
transformation.
Nelly's going to the moon, I can tell you that.
And without this campaign team, I don't think I would be here sitting down in this couch, just
comfortably talking.
Exactly,
Nelly he's at home right now behind a camera.
So I wanted to say I can talk about my future five. I could discuss what is the role of parliament and what is the role of government. I can articulate myself to certain standards because of the campaign team, and that it went through workshops. Those workshops included role playing. Those workshops included lectures, and the lectures you can talk about, having high councils of states coming from the Netherlands and also here on the island as well, and merging all of that information, and then assessing us, critiquing us, scrutinizing everything that we write down, and making sure that it connects with
it's
the
in line with our party values.
Exactly, as well as the party values, and talking about integrity, good governance, and making sure that you really uphold it and not just talking about it. So that was the process.
Yeah. It was. Whew, I these past few months, or this past year, feels like I was sitting in another 400 level course at college. I won't lie to you; it was a lot of work. But this is what you need from your leaders. For me, my fight for the futures, they involve a lot of things, a lot of what I work in right now. And so thinking about what I wanted for the fight for the future was the easier part, but then putting it down in a way that is also catchy, because that's another thing. You have to sell your fight for the future,
Yeah, and you have to make sure that it connects with the
precisely. Yep. That's one place where I know the campaign team really helped a lot, but it was difficult. It was very difficult. They have done an amazing job with our candidates this time around. We have an amazing team, guys. It's
Yeah.
10 amazing candidates from 1 to 10, from 10 to 1. We are really putting forward that age old notion of quality over quantity.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Nelly, let's get deeper into your five for the future. Okay.
Yes.
So list what your all 5 points
Okay.
in your five for the future, and then what are you most passionate about in your five for the future, and why?
That is okay. I have to talk about one that I'm most passionate about. Okay.
It's more like all right. It's difficult to choose, but just go through them. Let the people them hear what you're championing this time around.
All right. So number one, closing the wealth gap. What do I mean by closing the wealth gap? By supporting economic programs that promote equal opportunities for all and creating measures that improves the quality of life and strives towards eradicating poverty within our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, strengthening education and supporting educators. What does that mean? Improving education by giving schools and educators more funding and introducing STEM to the school curriculum, fostering development. Number three, non discriminatory immigration rules. Introducing an updated immigration system that promotes integration and inclusivity within our community. Number four, actionable housing opportunities. What does that mean? Providing equal opportunity to build generational wealth through accessible housing programs. Last but not least, number five, safeguarding nature and heritage, preserving our environment, traditions, and culture to create a where community we are all proud to call home. And those are my five for future.
Love it. So okay, so we've heard at least five for the future. They're all amazing.
Mhm.
And I just simply looking at your five for the future, your number one five for the future.
My number one.
It aligns itself with with a mantra that we have in PFP, which is improving quality of life for all.
Yes.
Not just for those that voted a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but for everybody here on St. Martin.
Yes.
Strengthening education. These are all things that are in the manifesto. When we talk about non-discriminatory immigration rules, we believe in safeguarding the minority people here on St. Martin.
Yes.
From all different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are ways that I can simply look at your fight for the future and I can see our manifesto in it. And that's something that I really love. So which one of these would you like to? I mean, you know what? Looking at the time, Nelly, I'm gonna give you time to go through as much as I'll pick at least three of them.
Okay.
And then I'll let you go deep into them.
So number one, I'm passionate about this, and it's closing the wealth gap. And the reason why I am so passionate about it is because of my upbringing. I came from humble beginnings. My parents are immigrant parents.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is from Dominican Republic. My dad is from Haiti, and that came with a lot of struggles. Not saying that I didn't have food every day on my plate when I was growing up.
Gotcha.
However, it was a humbling experience to see that my mom worked 3 jobs, and I thought it was normal that that parents work so hard. They had to go out to make that money, and then that money buys food, and then you eat. And I thought that was something that everyone does, until I started to go to my friend's house, my other friend's house, and I saw their lifestyle. And I would ask them, how much jobs that your parents work, and they would just say, my mom is a stay-at-home mom, and my dad works 1 job, and they would live in pretty good housing.
Yeah.
So I would say, hey, I think that there's a difference between my friends and the way how I live.
Mm-hmm.
And while growing up, I thought to myself, I don't think anyone should go through what I'm going through.
No.
And when I finished my studies and when I came back, I worked as a project leader for the St. Martin Youth Brigade, which is a nonprofit organization that helps youth at risk and help to build them, to mold them into being proud, productive citizens of St. Martin. And I saw that those youths went through the same thing that I went through, being in an impoverished community, and also having bad role models. And I thought to myself, this all has to do with the wealth gap. This all has to do with living in poverty.
Yep.
So it's a cycle, a vicious cycle that perpetuates a lot of negative aspects within our community.
Correct.
And I said, you know what? I want to advocate for closing the wealth gap. And when I'm in Parliament, those are the things that I'm going to be supporting. How can we, promote programs that aids equal opportunities for all and not just for specific few? So that's something that I'm very passionate about.
Wonderful. Anything else?
Yes. Education.
Yeah.
Something that I want to open up with everyone and be vulnerable. And I think the first time that Lucho ever heard that I was in Baby O was
today, in a previous podcast.
I don't know what it's called right now. I don't know if it's called LTS or.
I think it's called VSBO take they have take L and they have PBL and
PBL,
something like that.
Okay, so yeah, so for the viewers out there that don't know the Dutch system, we have different levels of education within the same high school in Milton Peters. The highest level is VWO, and then the lowest level is BVO. And I came from
at the time that we were going to school.
Yeah, at the time that we were going to school, and I went to the lowest level. That was BVO. There is more vocational. You work with your hands. You got electricians work. You have woodwork.
You have woodwork.
Exactly.
They didn't do metal anymore, right?
They had metal as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went through all of that except for the electric work because I think you could choose subjects, and I made a concerted effort to specifically do woodwork and I think metal work as well.
Okay.
So I started off with that, and I excelled. I excelled quickly. Within a month, I was in Marvel.
There you go.
It was really easy.
That means that you were supposed to be there in the first place.
So
but it's easy for people to fall through the cracks.
Yeah,
it's very easy for people to fall through the cracks.
When I was in 6th grade and I had to do that last exam, that was like
coördineren proefwerk.
Yep. I had to do that, and then that last exam determines where you end up in high school.
It can determine the rest of your life.
It doesn't matter during that entire period of 1st to 6th grade that your grades were like 9s and 10s. And during that last test, if you got a 5 or something like that, you're going to a vocational school. And that's what happened to me. During my entire school year from 1st grade all the way to 6th grade, I could speak Dutch, I could write Dutch. I was good at math. I did great. But when, you had that added pressure on you to be great during that last exam, I just froze. I was just doing the exam like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. I didn't write anything. I was just there like staring at the paper like, I've been passing every test. I never failed a test before. So I was just there like shaking,
And you know what? I was the exact opposite.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, school, it was never a challenge. No, it was, especially primary school, it wasn't a challenge. And so I would just flow through every single class, just going over, really making it over to the next side. When it came to coordinated proofwork, my mom was like, don't play around with this nonsense. Show me what you could do. Yeah, and so I performed. I like you.
And then I was in top
1 percentile in mathematics or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. But that's how I ended up going to the Harvard. You understand? But honestly, if you think about just raw intelligence, there's not much between the two of us. You went one direction and I went the other. And the fork in the road was one test.
Yeah, one test. And you know what's crazy? Today we're sitting next to each other.
We
were so divided. Harvard was, this is your level. This is where we even had separate classrooms, separate sections where we
you would be in the Begelbouw.
Exactly.
And I would be down in the Degelbouw, yeah.
It was in Hagebouw or something like that.
A would be for like if you're doing the sciences.
Okay.
And then Degelbouw would be like your regular classroom. So if you're doing English, Dutch, French, and math, you would
I wouldn't even know that. I just know about my section, So it already divides. It already divides you. And I was thinking, when I went to the Netherlands and I was studying international leisure management in Breda University, I saw how inclusive, education was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what ignited a flame in me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do the best that I can for St. Martin. And there is where I won a hackathon. And I was the first St. Martin and only St. Martiner to do that in 2018, where I represented the Netherlands in Dubai for the global hackathon.
Wow.
So all of that passion for education, it even enlarged even more from there on. I went on to write an academic article that is now published in a journal, a scientific journal, about education and how educators and their students can promote environmental awareness. So that's something that I said, you know what? I'm doing all of these great contributions within the Netherlands for Europe, but I'm not doing any of these contributions here in St. Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm so passionate about education, and I want to bring all of that experience that that I had in the Netherlands, that I had in Poland, and I want to bring it back here so that our youths can start to use scientific research in order for them to develop themselves and further lift themselves out of poverty, because that's what I did. I used education in order for me to excel and progress. And now I'm sitting next to Lucio, who has a bachelor's degree in physics.
Yeah.
So so I wouldn't be here without education.
Correct.
And
Neither would I, Yeah.
And I think education is that tool that we can use to propel people out of poverty.
Correct. I couldn't agree with you more. Um, so that point that you made on education fits with my, one of my five for the futures as well. For those of you who don't know, I'm an educator. I come from educators as well. My family right now, it was my mother. I had an uncle who was an educator. I also have a cousin who's an educator in the Netherlands. But the greater family at large, when you look at the extended family, it's a whole lot of educators came out of that Richardson clan. So education is also a passion of mine. So I'll go through my five for the future right now. The first one is innovative and sustainable waste management. Okay, so I work in waste management. It's been in the family. It's been in the family for a very long time. It's since my grandfather was alive. So before I was born, we've been in waste management, and that's why it's right now on the top of my list. Second one is diversifying our energy options. Being a physicist and a lover of science, I do not like to see how stagnant St. Martin is right now in terms of where we get our energy.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's number two. Increase protections for our natural environment. When I was young, or even now, I had a thing for animals. Oh yeah, I collected bugs. I I told a story during the last election of a time in Barbados when I picked up these yellow satchels that were outside in the yard and well on the pasture, brought them into the house, had no idea what they were, but they were satchels of spider eggs. So they hatched in the house, and you could only imagine what happened then. House was crawling with spiders, And so I've always had a love for the natural world. And it is sad to see what we have done with our natural resources here in St. Martin. But I don't think it's too late. I think that if we implement the right strategies, if we push on the right legislation so that we're able to conserve, we can still pull back some of what we have lost. Fourth is financial literacy that begins early and in our most vulnerable communities. So I wish that what I know now, I knew when I was younger, in terms of how you spend your money, how you save, how you invest, and all that kind of stuff. It is as important as learning your ABCs.
Yes.
As learning to read. and learning to count. It is important.
I'm shocked that
Okay.
it's not in the curriculum right now.
And so that's why I chose that one, because if we want to create a society that is self-sufficient, right? Then you have to be financially literate.
Yes.
You must be financially literate. And last but by no means least, this is something that is near and dear to me. Realizing early and continuing STEAM education.
Mhm.
STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And I am squarely on the S of that acronym. I'm a scientist. Just about a lot of the members of my family are scientists as well. And so I really want to push our youth to go down that direction. If I can choose two that I would like to elucidate on and just go deeper into it, I'll start with early STEAM education.
Yeah.
What government did these past 4 years, and it's amazing to me that they even started thinking about it after last elections. I wonder why. It's probably because PFP championed it. But what we want to really do this time around is that we want to look into a STEAM curriculum.
Yes.
Okay, so what government has been doing, providing certain technologies in the classroom, it's not really STEAM education. And then the infrastructure to be able to utilize those things aren't in place.
Nope.
So they're virtually useless.
Mhm.
But we want to make sure that we implement a curriculum. We want to also evaluate the STEAM related skills
Mhm.
of our teachers.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't like to hear the term evaluate, but the only way that we can build something that is meaningful, we have to see where you are at
Yeah,
this moment.
we need to measure
And
it.
then we're going to augment that information that you have. We're going to help you out.
Yeah.
We're going to find ways for you to be able to thrive in this new curriculum. You understand? We're gonna emphasize on the importance of tech literacy in various professions, from mechanics to nursing. Um, I always say that tech is all around us, and it's within everything that we touch nowadays.
Yes.
When I speak to my mechanic on the job, and he's like, "Lucho, I can't touch that
Mhm.
because it's computerized."
Exactly.
You understand? He's an old school mechanic,
Mhm.
and he's a really good one. So shout out to Manuel if he's listening to this. He is a really good one. But even in the field of mechanics, you also have to be an ICT professional now. And so because technology is in everything, it's where I believe we need to start focusing on tech from a very young age. I know in our manifesto it states that we want our kids to learn a programming language from elementary school.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
We teach languages. You learn Dutch at elementary school, but you can also learn a programming language. It's an actual language.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I didn't have to do a foreign language because I already knew computer programming. Yeah.
Okay.
So it can only serve to uplift.
Yeah.
Uplift you.
And just to piggyback off of what you was explaining about STEAM education, in mind I have STEM because I always thought about this was an older concept, and now they added the A to it, which is a newer concept. I'm working at the medical university, and it's scientific. They're actually, it's a STEM program because of the simulations that they have right now. In order for you to become a physician, you need to understand certain things about the human body, and what those students go through right now in a simulation center, which is simulating how you would be in an hospital, right? So if a patient is going into surgery, the different things that you would have to do while that person is in surgery to keep them alive, all of that is simulated. And if we can have a simulated experience with our curriculum, just to give you a practical definition of STEAM education, these are the things that our students would be doing while they are in school, and you would be in the background assessing how those students are reacting to the different stimuli or the different cases that are happening right there and then. And I was thinking to myself, I work at a university that actually does this, that actually does STEAM education. I went to the simulation center and I saw, and I was in the back of the computer watching, those physicians, do their kinds of surgery and methods and everything that they learned from their book. And that's what implementing STEM education in St. Martin would look like. And actually utilizing those electronic systems in order for you to develop the mind of those students. So I wasn't thinking about it until recently, about a week ago, and I'm thinking to myself, we are always advocating for STEAM education in a curriculum, but I'm actually intertwined and managing
very much so. Very much so. Very much so. Oh yeah. So, and then other than that, honestly, I'm really passionate about almost everything, all of my fight for the future. But we can talk about innovative and sustainable waste management. So it is amazing to me how stagnant St. Martin is. How it's like it is as if we are allergic to progress. What we were doing back when my grandfather was in charge of company, it's the same thing that we're doing right now. You go up, you pick garbage, throw it into the truck, dump it on the dump, and then it just grows. And so if we want to talk about the future, if you want to talk about the longevity of this country, we have to have a paradigm shift in the way we think about waste management. Okay, one of the things that plagues waste management right now, and it plagues many different things in society. So if we look at government-owned companies, you have GB, Telem, and all the rest of them. One of the things that plagues all of these things is politics and politicians. And so we believe that we need to remove politics from waste management by establishing a solid waste authority. Okay. I think in the past 4 years, we have seen an example of how politics can destroy waste management. It has happened right before our eyes. And when we try to hold the young gentleman accountable, his savior came in on a sudden wind. But we also need to think about moving St. Martin towards a circular economy.
Yes.
So, okay, the problem is there, the dump is there, that problem is there. But every single last person on St. Martin, we have contributed to that problem.
Yeah.
Okay? At the end of the day. And we can be angry at government all we want. Yes, they didn't manage it as well. But the way we consume and the way we dispose is the reason why the dump is so big. Okay, if we started thinking deeply on what we purchase, right? Do we really need this? Is this really necessary right now? And if we have it, and it's reached the end of what we think is its useful life, can it be repurposed into something else? Keeping it away from our landfill.
Yeah.
So we need to take a look at our consumption. We need to take a look at how we reuse our stuff before we even start thinking about recycling. Okay. And my third one, back to recycling. I believe it's time for us to negotiate with Saint Martin to handle the recycling on the entire island. Okay. We like to talk about one island. Well, I believe in one island, one people, one recycling. Okay. We making money off of recycling, it has a lot to do with quantity. You have to have that bulk quantity there. And guys, we live on 16 square miles at the end of the day. We need our neighbors to the north. We love our unity flag. We like to chant unity, but when it comes down to actually realizing that unity, that's where we fall short. And then this will tie right back into the STEAM curriculum. But we need to empower current recycling initiatives in schools by having sustainable waste management as part of the STEAM curriculum.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That it starts with education. If we educate our youth, if we educate everybody on St. Martin, not just what you reuse and how you can reuse it, but also even as simple right now as how to dispose of your garbage. Because we're having trouble with that right now. You can tell people time and time again, this is the way you're supposed to dispose of your waste. But if the garbage man is going to come every day and take it up anyhow, why should I even bother about the way I present
Exactly.
my waste?
Separating your waste.
Precisely, So though that's a little insight into our. You wanted to add something?
No, I wanted you to finish up to go to the question. But...
Yeah. let's see if we can move through this. And so, what do you think makes you uniquely qualified, right, to champion your fight for the future?
So before we go into that question,
you want to tackle this?
I want to just tackle this one because I don't know if Revolt St. Martin is still watching our podcast, and I want to make sure that we engage with our audience. So Revolt St. Martin, thank you for the question. What kind of economic programs would you implement to close the wealth gap? People of St. Martin struggle to pay the basic. Let me see. There's a heart here. The basics like rent, and GB and groceries. Okay, that's all right. So one of the economic programs that I think that would benefit the people here on St. Martin. I just want to give a thought experiment to everyone that's watching right now, and to you, Lucio. When you walk out of your house or when you drive, what is something that is a reoccurring thing that you see that something that's reoccurring, that whenever you need to buy something that you can, it's so easy for you to just stop there. It's like it's almost on every street, every corner of the street.
Something you can't miss.
Something that you can't miss. Like you want to buy something and it's so easy for you to access it. It's easily accessible for you. If you need to buy something, say something to eat, groceries or something like that.
I mean, we have Chinese stores on every car.
Okay. So anyone who's watching right now, if you wanted to type your answer, you could type your answer, or if you wanted to, post something there. That is something that if you're ever in need to buy something and you're driving or you're walking, you'll see a supermarket that is owned by our Chinese community. One thing that I think that would help, and when I was in Dubai, I was speaking to an Emirati, and I was asking him about, how are your people so successful? And he told me different things, and one of them stand out. He said, whenever a foreigner comes in Dubai to open up a business, some of the requirements is that they need to partner with a local. And I was listening to a business podcast. I think it was Forbes. And in Atlanta, the mayor of Atlanta, I think he was the first Black mayor of Atlanta. And one of the economic programs that he started was that whenever foreign investors come to Atlanta, they would have to have at least 25% of the Black population in their businesses. So I think what we could do to bridge the wealth gap here on the island is to ensure that there's ownership of convenience stores for St. Martin people, ownership of businesses within Phillipsburg where people go shopping as well. I think if we can have some kind of, pilot project where investors come into St. Martin and they have to partner with a St. Martiner, that we could try to do that on a small scale and measure the success of that. I think that is very important to bridge the wealth gap, is to provide ownership to the local population. Correct. We barely own anything on this island, and we feel like we don't even own, we don't own certain things that are here for us. For instance, when you talk about GB, this is something that's supposed to be a service for all of the population. And as a service provider, you're supposed to be given excellent service. And as someone who is, paying for that service, you feel like you're invested into that company, like you're a shareholder. And in essence, people who are living in a country are to some effect are shareholders within that country, and that's something that we need to emphasize, is that St. Martin people need to have a more sense of ownership, and I think that providing those economic programs will help instill that sense of, oh, I own this right now, and then you get some kind of income from those grocery stores, and then you would be able to meet your basic needs like paying GB and groceries and everything like that. So I think that's one economic program that we could implement.
Love it, Nelly. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Um, so
Yes.
back to the question.
Back to the question.
What makes you uniquely qualified to champion your fight for the future?
All right. So I have my presentation, and I always like to go back to my notes. So let me just give you a background of who I am. I know I told you that I studied in the Netherlands, and I have an um, uh, international leisure management degree and a minor in entrepreneurship factory. But that's just one part of my competencies. Um, I was part of the St. Martin national judo team when I was 13 years old, and I won a bronze medal at that age. And I don't think people understand how disciplined and committed you have to be to your nation in order for you to win a bronze medal.
Correct.
Um, when you start thinking about St. Martin on a grand scale as a country, a constituent country of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and you see the St. Martin flag on television, or you see St. Martin competing in the Olympics or something like that. I'm not sure if we can compete in the Olympics because we're part of the Dutch Kingdom, so it would be the Netherlands.
How that goes.
It would be the Netherlands, so you would be representing the Netherlands. But imagine if you could see the St. Martin flag in the Olympics and someone going up with a bronze or with a silver or with a gold medal. You know the impact that would have on youth. You know the impact that would have on the people. They would feel a month of pride, to be a St. Martiner. So I think it's very important that our leadership shows that they have that discipline. And for how long do they have this discipline? Right now, I'm 32 years old. I'm still doing combat sports. I'm not part of the St. Martin national judo team because there's not a national judo team.
Don't worry, Marvio gonna fix that.
Yes, Marvio is very. Marvio is someone who's knowledgeable about organizing sports here on the island. He actually transformed basketball and brought it back.
So you see, Suwaliga Youth Basketball Association.
Yeah, he brought it back from talking about physicians. He's a physician himself. So that's step one. Right now, at 32 years old, I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I obtained a gold, silver, and a bronze medal. So from 13 all the way to 32, I am still committed to winning medals for my island. I'm still committed to bleeding for my island. And if that doesn't show how committed I am and how disciplined I am for my nation, then I don't know what is. So that's number one. Number two is that I have a master's in business administration and team management, and something that I'm very proud of. So whenever I'm talking about the competencies and the things that I have that instill leadership qualities are the left brain and the right brain. And something that is part of my accomplishment is writing a nonfiction book based on African and indigenous stories. And that was meant to uplift our community, to show that, we do have superheroes that are Black. And that are made by us. We have Black Panther, but that was made by Stan Lee. And, not knocking on anyone, but this is, American of European descent. So it's very important that we have people that look like us create heroes. And I won a literary award from the Bridget Jones Society from the United Kingdom. And I think those qualities, those things, have instilled a sense of, passion, commitment, and dedication towards making sure that my people progress not in a similar manner, but just having that, bigger picture that all of us needs to reach a certain potential or our maximum potential, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So
Yes.
couple all of that into politics. I believe that I have integrity, vision, and strategic thinking in order for us to propel St. Martin number one in sports, education, and ensuring that that we have a sense of identity and we're proud of our culture.
Nelly, I love that. That was amazing. You see how much awards Nelly have? But if I have to answer that question, when one thing is that I don't believe in giving up. You know, and it shows. I think I told the story today of my journey through my tertiary education. But anybody that leaves St. Martin and decides to go away and is like, okay, what is the hardest subject that I could study? And is like, yeah, this is for me, and then sees it through.
Mhm.
You know, that's one of my qualities. I never steered away from the difficult problems. Okay, I always attack them head on. I always believe that there's a solution to be found. A lot of people they would run away from things that are difficult.
Yeah.
I do not. That's one thing about me. And then, of course, if you look at my fight for the future, and then you see where I work and the experience that I have, in waste management, in education, these are the things that I believe can make me a competent leader. Because I studied physics. Physics there's a lot of problem solving involved in physics. I'm a trained problem solver. And that's something that you need in your leaders as well.
Yes.
I'm a trained critical thinker. Sit back, and instead of running your mouth and blowing hot air, sit back, think, then apply what you know to the problem at hand. Or if you don't have the information, you are not afraid to go and look for it.
Yeah.
You are not afraid to go and seek out the tools that you need to find that solution. And that is Luciano in a nutshell.
Can I add one more thing for Luciano? So I've known Lucho since I've started here at PFP, and one thing that I can say is that he has high emotional intelligence, and that's some important component in leadership is to have that high intelligence in understanding emotions. He is a great teammate, team oriented. You need
Yeah.
people that can support you. And he's definitely a great supporter. And I can remember during one of our town halls, our party leader, Melissa Gunn, said that, we have to support Rosalinda because she's not here right now because she had something very important that she had to take care of. And we all had to make sure that we advocated for her. And our second town hall meeting, it came out of nowhere, and Lucho just supported Rosalind and said how important it was, for us to acknowledge the work that she does because she's an educator. And it was so important because, yes, it is true. She molds, our youth. And to me, to see that, I really felt it was genuine and it was intentional, the things that he said. And just some personal things with him calling me and talking to me and making sure that I'm doing good and I'm feeling good about everything. That was quite shocking and surprising. And I just want to let everyone know right now, that he's empathetic. He has high emotional intelligence, and that's what you need in a leader. And I really appreciate everything that you have done so far. And I just want to give you your flowers right now and touch you. But that's definitely something that I see in you, and you didn't say it just now. But I hope everyone else sees that in him right now.
Thank you. Okay, so implementations might take a long time because it's like first few months, first year, first term. I will touch on. I'll just hit on one thing. Okay.
And when you hit on that, I just want to touch on the impact of choosing the wrong leader.
Right. That's fine.
Okay.
And so we're just going to look at implementing a lot. What is in our fight for the future. One thing that I really want to look at is government right now has a nature plan and a nature policy plan. I need to see how far we are with this plan. So one of the first things I think we need to do is we need to get the pertinent minister in,
Yes.
and we need to see where they are in this plan. They were supposed to report to government I think it was every year, I think it was, or something like that. I asked Melissa, nothing has been done when it comes to these things, and so it tells me that our current government isn't interested in preserving our environment.
Yeah, sad. As someone that actually volunteers for the St. Martin Coastal
Mm-hmm.
Cleanup, so I do scuba diving, and what I do, I go into the sea to remove plastic debris and also Hurricane Irma debris. And what we do after that is that we separate the trash.
Mm-hmm.
We separate the trash and we weigh the trash to measure how much kilos of trash that we took out of the sea.
Well,
And all of that is important data for
can
our
you give me
funders.
like an estimate on how much you would find on average?
On average,
Or does it fluctuate?
it fluctuates. Yeah, it fluctuates.
What's the most that you've seen?
The most that I've seen, I can't remember the actual figures that we removed because I have very bad memory. As you can see, I forgot what KPI stood for, which is key performance indicators, which is so easy to memorize, but somehow I forgot it. But it was a lot. It was a lot of kilos. If anyone that is watching right now, I know Maria, you're watching. If you could write how much kilos of trash that we took out for recent projects, please write it there, and then I'll tell everyone. But it was a lot. We found, all kinds of stuff down there, from roof, of course, zinc,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Toiletries stuff, of course, from Hurricane Irma.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
blow that into the
Into
ocean.
the ocean, yeah.
I saw engines down there.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw engines down there. So tires, everything down there. So it's a lot of trash that we have in our oceans right now, and that's something that I'm passionate about cleaning up. Is making sure that our beaches are beautiful. I mean, when you look at the outside, you know how pristine and blue it looks, and our white sands. But when you go into the water and you go deep down, there's a lot of debris that actually causes a lot of harmful effects to
Mhm.
our environment. So that's why it's very important for us to have those milestones and those check-ins that the Nature Foundation can have, those stakeholder engagements in
Correct,
order for us to assess
Mhm.
what have you been doing, what has been done, are they meeting the goals that they're supposed to be meeting,
Correct.
in order for us to see if we should reassess our goals, or restructure our goals in order for us to create new goals to make sure that we meet those needs.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think that we really need to scrutinize
Definitely.
how interested our government is in preserving
Definitely.
our nature.
Definitely. Definitely.
Um,
You say you wanted
Yes.
to talk. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
so talking about scrutinizing our leaders and making sure that they're invested in the entire populace, not only in environment,
Mhm.
but there is a fundamental connection with choosing the wrong leader and the impact that it has on our economy. When you have leaders that have these qualities of nepotism, tribalism, and those other qualities that I mentioned before, you will start to see that these individuals or those leaders are starting to become corrupt.
Mhm.
And what happens is that you will see an economic decline of dishonest and fraudulent conduct. And most of the times, you can see this with vote buying.
Yep.
Whenever you see a leader that has funds to whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever the case is, whether it's to buy a fridge, that's something that I hear a lot here on St. Martin, whether it is to rent a car for a certain individual for a period of time, or whether it is to, and this is something that I heard of, but I'm not so sure if it's true, but whether it is to get persons, a bus license or something like that. Those are forms of vote buying, and
Mhm.
that shows that you have a dishonest candidate or leader that is trying to impact the elections.
Mhm.
And that's something that you have to
Exploiting
look out for.
you.
They're exploiting you,
Mhm.
and that's something very important. That word exploit.
Yeah. Yeah.
St.
Yeah.
Martin people, you're being exploited when those things are happening. and you're never at the advantage when you're
Never.
exploited. So when you
Never.
think that you're receiving $500 or a fridge or a bus license or something like that, the impact of the entire nation is affected by what you just did. So you really have to look at yourself and reflect and make sure that you're choosing the right leader for you.
Correct.
And something else that that has a large impact of choosing the wrong leader is social disunity. If you choose a wrong leader, you can have your state in a disagreement and in conflict, and you could have tensions between different communities. Someone that comes from the Haitian community, I would always hear, you have to go back to your country. You're stealing jobs or something like that. And I would always think to myself, St. Martin is my home.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone that comes from the Indian community, that comes from the Chinese community, they hear this rhetoric as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're always continuously hearing things like that, you will never want to integrate into the country.
Correct.
You will always have this divide of the different communities. I always hear that St. Martin is a melting pot of different cultures.
I think I stated to you that St. Martin's current culture is multiculturalism. Okay, so I believe that everyone here, we need to, and maybe we need to forge a current St. Martin identity.
Yes.
Because St. Martin hasn't done a very good job in integrating people into their population and showing people what their culture has been or what their culture is, because we have forgotten our own culture.
Yeah.
But everybody in St. Martin needs to find themselves. They needs to be able to see themselves in St. Martin.
That's
whatever.
To David's
correct. So when you want to know how our fight for the futures intersect with each other, this is another example of that. But yeah, you need to feel a love for St. Martin.
Yes.
And there needs to be a culture that defines us as St. Martiners.
Exactly.
Okay. Even if you have your Haitian culture on the side, because I'm not saying that you have to let that go.
No.
But that is what makes us unique. We all can say, okay, this is what unifies us.
Exactly.
And this is what makes us unique.
Exactly.
And it would be something beautiful to see happen here. It needs to happen. Let me put it that way.
And my perspective is that, I have Haitian and Dominican roots, but I always put forth St. Martin. Like St. Martin is number one. St. Martin is my home. And I think it's important that, that all of the communities see that. But in order for them to see it, that St. Martin is their homes, I think what is important is to create a cultural program for, if you're an immigrant and you're coming into St. Martin, that you need to go through this cultural program.
Yeah.
So this would be the first step.
Correct. In the Netherlands, you have integratie.
I had to do that.
Yeah.
I had to do that. My first time coming to the Netherlands, I had to study and do a course on the Netherlands, its history, its culture, and then I had to do a test.
Correct.
And I think that's very important for St. Martin, and that's something that I want to advocate for.
Correct.
If any immigrant is coming to St. Martin, the first thing that they have to know and understand is the course. Whatever the name is, Love for St. Martin, or St. Martin Community, or St. Martin Identity.
Yeah. This is St. Martin.
This is St. Martin, or something like that. They have to go through that course for at least 8 months or so. And at the end of that period, they have to be tested on what they have learned. And once they pass that test, right?
Can I ask you a question though? Like, something that I hear all the time is that it's a lot of people struggle with our language of instruction here.
Yes.
Do you think that's also something that we should do? We should also give lessons in English.
Yes.
Which would make it easier for people to be able to because what you see with when people migrate to St. Martin is that they tend to stay within their own communities. But there is that language barrier that really prevents people from trying to reach out and go and dig further into what is St. Martin. So what do you think about that?
I think our language of instruction has definitely created multi-dimensional barriers for us. And specifically, if we're speaking about Dutch, I think what is important is for us as politicians that enter parliament is to co-legislate together with government changing those language of instructions for certain things, or if it's within or if it's for law, to make sure that it's transformed into English.
Mhm.
I
Correct.
think that it's a no-brainer if you're going into government and you're in parliament and you're in government, and something that is a barrier for our community is the Dutch language. You could change the language of instruction. You have that power, to
Mhm.
change the language of instruction. And if we have immigrants that are coming to St. Martin that are struggling because it's Dutch, I think it's a no-brainer in order for us to just change that language into
Mhm.
English.
Yeah, English is an official language here in St.
Mhm.
Martin. A lot of people tell me that English is a hard language to learn.
Mhm.
It is.
Yes, yes, yes. English is a lot.
English is a difficult language. But do we require of people that are coming here, and maybe I'm not sure if you can answer this, yes or no.
Mhm.
Do we require people that are coming here to have, to take English as a second language courses?
I
I
think
don't. I'm not sure if is that something that happens right now.
I think the University of St. Martin had a language program that was funded. I think it would be important for us to consider having, those courses for immigrants that are coming to have English as a
Do you
second
think would it
language.
be if it would be like mandatory courses?
I don't know if we can make it mandatory, but I would have it there as an option in order for them to, progress into our
Right,
society.
right,
So I would
right.
definitely incentivize them. Hey, if you take this course and you have an adequate level of English, it will help you and assist you to get a job, a better job.
That's one thing, but
And it would also help to combat exploitation.
correct,
And
correct.
maybe your provider, your employer wants to take advantage of you because they think that you can't read or understand English or Dutch. So that's why I think it's important for us to have those courses and make sure that we incentivize and let them know that knowing this language will help you.
And because what I wanted to say is that communication in this life is key.
Yeah.
You have to be able to communicate with others.
Mhm.
If you're seeing a disconnect in your communication, you have to find ways to fix it.
Yes.
I don't care if it's in, because my significant other always, she would give me stories of individuals that come to the clinic, but they're struggling to explain themselves in English.
Mhm.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
Because you need help.
Yes.
And you're struggling to explain yourself in English. And of course, we can facilitate you. We can have people working at the clinics that
Can
speak
translate,
right,
or even use technology in
right,
order for us to
right. But it makes it so much easier when you and a person can converse in the same language.
Exactly.
And that's why it's very important for those of you who speak another language. Here on St. Martin, I think it's very important for you to take time out. English is tough.
Yes.
I won't lie to you. You don't. It doesn't come easy overnight, but for your very own well-being, it is important that you take some time out.
Exactly.
And try to learn the language.
And one last thing that I wanted to touch on this and the impact, and this is the last one, is clientelism. And this is where you have a client and someone that that is that is providing a service to you, that is in a position of power, and they're just giving you certain things because you are with them, and that creates this kind of culture where you're using these people for certain purposes. So you can think of tendering.
Yeah. I went through it.
So if you have certain individuals that are in power and they know that these government contracts are something that you normally are someone that has this as a method of to pay your basic needs in order for you to pay different employees and stuff like that. They can actually use this against you or use this in their advantage, and now you become a client and they're the ones with the power. And in order for this relationship to work, you need to do whatever they say.
Right.
And you might not meet those certain standards. However, they're benefiting from you getting this contract, whether it's they're getting something on the side,
Those kickbacks.
or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they want to prevent certain individuals from getting certain benefits.
Correct.
And that's something that is very wrong, and it creates this concept of clientelism.
Correct. 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 Okay, so I think we already an hour and 10 minutes in to our podcast today. So it's time for us to start winding down, guys. It's been wonderful having you guys here. I'd like to tell you guys, I'm just gonna, if you want to touch on that.
Just one last thing, Lucio, you asked me a question.
Yes.
How much trash do we pick up? And and I could say 350 pounds.
Wow.
And even what is this? 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Even 1,000 pounds of trash
Wow.
we had taken out of the sea. And most recently, we took out trash. And I don't know if this 156 pounds was from the recent beach cleanup that we did in Simpson Bay. So anyone who's living in Simpson Bay and or anyone who goes to the Simpson Bay beach, we recently cleaned under the water there, take out the plastic debris and all of the Hurricane Irma debris from there. Recently.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I love information like this, by the way. I love numbers.
Data is important.
Oh yeah, data matters. Even
Data
though
matters.
other people don't think so. So I just want to leave you guys with this. I believe we're coming down. We're in the middle of our campaign season right now, and so I just want to leave everybody with a call to action. So we have a 10-man list, right? It's only 10 of us. I think we currently have the smallest list, except for the one-man party.
Yes.
Yes. We have the smallest list, and so PFP has always believed in quality over quantity, and I think that shows in our radio interviews, in our podcast, in the way we conduct ourselves in town hall meetings. We're knowledgeable, we're informed, and we, according to some other people, we sound like we know what we're talking about. But one problem of having a small team is the groundwork is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for us to get the word out.
Yeah.
There's not much of us. And so that's where you come in. We need the public to be able to spread the word.
Yes.
Okay. If you like what we have to say, if what we've said in a town hall that resonates with you, if what you hear on the radio resonates with you, if what you read in our manifesto resonates with you, then it's time for you to take action. Mm-hmm. If you listen to us on the radio, tell a friend. If you have a manifesto from us, if you have one of our manifestos, when you finish with it, pass it on. If you come to our town halls, invite other people to come with you.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that we're going to be able to help you. There's a song that is sung in my church. It says, "It only takes a spark to get the fire burning." This spark has been ignited 4 years ago, and we're fanning a small flame. And we need St. Martin to help us fan that flame, because we want to move from a small flame to a blazing fire. Okay, we want our word to spread far and wide, and we need people to help us do that job. So, if you can do that, and if you believe in what we have to say, if you believe that we actually stand for progress, you've had 4 years of no progress, right? Then come January 12th, right?
11th.
When come January 12th, you can sit in your chair in the morning. You can drink your cup of bush tea proudly, knowing that you have helped to enact change here on St. Martin, knowing that you have helped to allow progress to flow again, knowing that you have chosen progress. St. Martin, this is your party for progress, and this is your call to action. Anything you have to say, Nelly?
You said everything perfectly.
So what do we have coming up next, guys? Town halls. We still have town halls going, I think, up until the 21st.
I think so.
Something like that, yeah. That's every Tuesday and Thursdays. What you're going to expect there is 10 wonderful individuals introducing themselves to you, and you get a chance to sit down, or you get a chance to stand up and ask your questions, and we try our best to answer them for you. Yeah. It's very interactive. There's always wonderful music being played. It's live music, you know, that's sweet pan.
Yes.
Um, and there are always food and drink on sale.
Yeah.
Don't forget our happy hours with PFP. I won't be at happy hours, but Nelly will be there.
Yes. You'll see
Okay.
me.
They've had, I think we've had 2 or 3 so far.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful, hasn't it?
It's been good.
Okay.
But we need more people to come out.
There you go.
Please.
Call to action again. You know, if you want to sit down in an informal setting and see how the gang hangs out with each other, that's the place to do it. And of course, it's Christmas. You know, nobody wants to be campaigning. No one wants to be campaigning during this season. Nobody wants to hear everything that we have to say during the Christmas season. So PFP will be taking a break. I wish I could pull up the graphic on when exactly the break starts. It's the 22nd, I think it is.
Let me see if I can pull it up. But
or if anybody in our group chat could just send me that information, that would be wonderful. It probably is. Someone is typing, and we're gonna have that information for you shortly.
Yeah. Right now, we could take a question from the
Yeah,
audience.
anybody has
When the what starts? The break, I think.
the break? Yes.
Yes.
We want to know when the break starts, and I think it's from the 22nd. We're trying our best not to pressure you guys during that period. It's time for you to be with your families. It's time for you to be able to reflect on the year that, or reflect on the 4 years that we have had. And so during that time, we simply want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. We should be back on January the 3rd or January the 2nd, and that's where we're going to start rounding up this campaign. Is there anything else you want to add, Nelly?
You touched on everything. I just want to make sure that St. Martin knows that change must count. January you have the information.
Oh yeah, my aunt for the win.
Okay.
Yeah, it's December 22nd. It looks like it's still struggling to load. But December 22nd to January 3rd. Yeah. So I think I was right around. Well, I think it was correct. Yeah. From the 21st onward.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And then after that, so what I do want to say is that on the 19th, we are in, or on the 14th we're in Ebenezer, on the 19th we're in St. Peter's, and on the 21st we're in Cahill, Bel-Air. So if you're living in those areas and you're listening to us right now, please come out and support.
Yes, thank you so much. And in January, vote the gold standard.
That's it.
Vote number 5, vote number 7. Anyone on the party is
1 to 10. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.